should be live. All right, let me post you over here where you can actually see comments. And there we go. All right, we'll give this a couple seconds. All right, I just got a notification, so let me share that. We are live. And let's go to Paranormal Inc. And share.
They can pick us up in Paranormal Inc., right?
Correct. All right, there we go. There you go. We got a couple people coming in now. Let's start this. All right, we got some people coming in now, so let's hit the intro.
You're listening to Step Into the Paranormal on WLFE TV Radio Network, presented to you by Paranormal Inc. And here are your hosts, Ernie Atwell and Dave Seiler.
Greetings, everybody. I am Dave Seiler. This is my co-host.
Hey, it's Ernie. How you doing?
And welcome to the first live broadcast of Step Into the Paranormal, hosted on WLFE BB Radio. Got a lot of good things coming your way. We have a special guest tonight. So we have a lot of cool surprises coming on. We actually have some very interesting information, which is going to be very fun. So I hope you enjoy the show, and thank you for tuning in. So, Ernie, I know that you had a couple things you wanted to mention right out of the gate. So I'll let you start.
Yeah, tonight, what we're going to be discussing is everyone's favorite topic when it comes to the paranormal, the skeptic.
Ooh.
Yeah, what do you think about that?
I love skeptics.
And just so happens we have the number one skeptic going to be joining us in a few minutes tonight. I think we all know who that is.
Oh, sorry. I'm paying attention to the stream. Mike King. So with that said, I'm actually going to introduce Mr. Mike King, Chief of Police of Ghosts of Shepherdstown, West Virginia. Yep. You get the hot seat. And I apologize. I was checking our stream to make sure it's working. I'm doing the network guy thing.
So everybody knows this young man here with us now, Mike.
Not everybody.
Not everybody.
No.
Everybody.
Who are you?
Everybody.
Who are you? What are you doing in this? Oh, stranger danger.
Everybody watching this knows who this guy is.
Oh.
But
I've heard that.
This is the Chief of Police of Shepherdstown, West Virginia, Mike King, and most notable on the show Ghosts of Shepherdstown. They had 2 wonderful seasons of the show. So,
Thank you.
you're welcome. Well, thank you for coming.
Well, thank you.
it was a long drive.
It was.
It feels good to be close at home for usually any event or any investigation. You know, we're traveling 2, 3, 4 hours, so it feels good to be in our own neck of the woods. But let's jump right into it, man. One of my favorite shows. Now, don't get me wrong. I love all the paranormal shows. And what I like about the paranormal shows is each one has their own flavor to it, you know. And like we were discussing off camera, not because Mike's sitting here, one of my all-time favorite was Ghosts of Shepherdstown. And the reason being is I like that whole allure about it, you know, the spookiness of the town. And for everyone that's been there, you'll know what I mean. One of the biggest draws for me was in the middle of the night when Nick or Elizabeth or Bill's phone would ring and hey, you got to get over here. You know, things are starting to happen. It's jumping off, and just that whole, you know, creepiness of the town, and going out in the middle of the night, and especially my favorite. I mean, all the places we investigate, I always show favoritism to the residential cases, of course. But real quick, Mike, when you started getting the calls, you know, from the different residents or business owners or what have you in Shepherdstown, and the decision was made to contact a professional team to come in and assist the police department, what was your first thought when you contacted Nick and Elizabeth and Bill?
Really, it was kind of I didn't know much about paranormal. Had never been involved in anything to do with paranormal, so like everybody else, I kind of watched TV. So
Right.
I knew. I mean, I watched TV, so I knew where to start.
Right.
And that's kind of where it all happened. And I got a hold of Nick, and Nick kind of put everybody else together.
Right. What once the team, you know, was assembled and came in, and you know, you got to meet them and everything. Once the investigation, basically the entire town, you know, came into full swing. What was your thoughts on the whole project, so to speak?
When's it going to end? Honestly, it's still kind of strange. I think
Right.
is probably the right words to use. People still come up to you. They want to talk to you in person, but they don't want anybody else around. And they want to say, "This is what I saw."
Right.
You know, they whisper to you. But I've been a police officer for a long time. I've never dealt with anything
Right.
in regards to paranormal.
Right.
So it was all something new.
Right.
I didn't really know where to start. That's the problem with something like this is, in my line of work, unless you're involved in the paranormal, you don't
Right.
know where to start with it. You don't know what's really happening. Am I seeing this? Is it really true? Am I hearing it? Are they telling me the truth? You know,
Right.
I mean, it's
Now,
confusing.
Before, you know, the whole, because I have to be honest with you, before the whole Ghosts of Shepherdstown came to be, as much time as I've spent in Charlestown and Harper's Ferry and this and that, I never even knew of Shepherdstown. You know, and like everyone else, when I seen the advertisement for it, you know, I was on my phone Googling, like, how far is Shepherdstown from where I live? You know, but before the whole Shepherdstown project came to be, were you getting a lot of police calls as far as things that were coming up unfounded that you couldn't figure out? That, I guess basically what I'm saying, what led you to think, hey, wait a minute, maybe this is of a different realm here?
Well,
than
Arnie,
the ordinary
I can tell you, as a police officer, and Dave, as his law enforcement experience, you all are involved in paranormal, so it's probably not as difficult for you. But when you get those calls that you can't explain, for instance, something as simple as an alarm at a business.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And that alarm goes off, and you have 2 or 3 sensors tripped.
Right.
Okay. All right. So you're expecting to find something in there: an animal, a bird, a bat. We see a lot of bats. But when you don't find anything,
Right.
and those same alarms keep getting tripped
Yeah.
night after night, or every 3 nights, every 4 nights, you know, it starts to become a problem. Or when you get the calls of a person saying, I'm in my house, there's somebody in my house, somebody has broken into my house, I can see the lights turn on out in the living room, I can see people walking by my door,
Right.
I can hear the footsteps,
Right. Yeah.
the police get there, and the place is locked up.
And
How do
see,
you...
that ties into, like, Dave and I, one of the seminars we do, and we, you know, really dive into the skeptical end of the paranormal. I think, you know, now this is just, everything we discuss is basically our opinions, but, you know, I think skeptics, somewhere along the line, experience something paranormal, okay? But being a skeptic, their mind isn't trained to pick up on it as something paranormal. Like, for example, and the three of us can contest to this, when we go somewhere in public with our family or what have you, and we're on our own time, if we go into a restaurant without even thinking about it, without even planning it, I'm always, back against the wall watching the door. Mm-hmm. And it's not that, I want to get involved in anything or I'm anticipating that something's going to happen, but it's just that mindset that you're in and you know what to look for.
It's the way you conduct business.
Exactly. And I think being a longtime paranormal researcher and investigator, your mind is trained a certain way. And we see things differently than your normal person, so to speak. So being, someone that's skeptic of this whole field, they're going to look at it differently. They're going to come up with a quicker, more rational explanation than, when we hear something or see something or whatever the case may be.
Absolutely.
You know what
it's
I mean?
like when you're driving down the road. You're focused on driving down the road, what's in front of you. You don't see what's beside you
Right.
when you're going by, and you're missing everything.
Right.
If you stop and look around, you're going to see a whole bunch of other things. Same thing in the paranormal field.
Right.
Look, my first night with Nick, I'm in a car in the cruiser, and I'm riding around. And Nick says, "Well, Mike," he says, "tell me about a paranormal experience." I said, "I don't think I've ever had any."
Right.
And he kind of snickered, and he says, "What do you mean?"
Right.
And I said, "Well, I don't think I've ever had any." He says, "Well, is there anything you can't explain that's happened to you?" And there was something that happened to me when I worked at another department. I was in K9, and I was searching a building.
Right.
It was a large building, 3 stories. And when I went in and gave my K9 warning, I could clearly hear 2 sets of footsteps on the second floor running from my right to my left.
Right.
And the funny part is that the dog raised his head and he followed the sound going across the floor, And,
wow.
and Nick says, "And what do you think that was?"
Right.
I said, "Well, I turned the dog loose and he went upstairs and there was nobody there. I mean, and there's nowhere anybody could get out." He said, "Okay, so what was that?" I said, "Well, I guess I was hearing things."
Right. See, and that's exactly. I'm glad you brought that point up, because that's exactly what I'm talking about. If you was to call me and say, "Hey, Ernie, guess what just happened?"
Yeah.
My first thing's like, "All right, man, I'm grabbing my stuff. I'm on my
I'm on
way.
the way.
Exactly.
Dave, get out of bed. It's time to go."
Yeah.
But I think people that are skeptic, and you got to be skeptic, because. Like I say, I'm not one of those that go into a building or a house or whatever on an investigation and, I immediately feel the spirits attaching to me and all that. I got to say, look, man, here's some evidence. I can't figure this out. I don't feel things. You know what I mean? And
you guys know me. You have shown me pictures of stuff you guys have gotten.
right.
And I can look at the same picture and you can say, "See the outline?" And I can say,
No.
truly, I can say, "No, I don't see that."
Right.
I don't see some of the things that,
Right.
and I'm told there's this big brick wall in front of me.
Right.
Yeah.
And it happens because, a skeptic is always going to come up with
I can find a reason that it
exactly.
happened.
Yes. But once you start, and this is for everybody, once you start investigating and you get really deep into it, and you'll start to see things in a different way.
Yep.
When you have the temperature changes, or things that show up in the video that sometimes you're left scratching your head.
I think the best one that I love is we were at Haldeman Mansion, and I was leading a group, and I went upstairs, and this guy in our group was a professed skeptic. And what I said to him as a paranormal investigator, "I'm not here to show you a ghost. I'm here to show you something you can't explain." So I'm wandering through the house with this guy, and of course I'm a skeptic. This is all BS. I'm only here because of my wife, and he's holding this Coleman lantern that turns on the top. And so he goes to the window over here, sets the Coleman lantern down, turns it off. I put my equipment in the right, and I start talking and calling out to a spirit that I know that's there, just to see what'll happen. And after a couple seconds, I kind of called him out. I said, "By the way, this guy doesn't believe you're here. Can you do something with one of my lights over here to show him you're here?" And his light turned on. And he looked at me, and I swear, I thought he was going to just bust right there. Mm-hmm. After a couple seconds of astonishment, he picks up his light, walks out of the room, walks out of the house. Wouldn't come back in.
I got to tell you, I don't think I'd have stuck around too much longer for something like that. But.
So I guess because the next question I was going to ask you was, and I think you already answered it, but if you want to elaborate, Ghosts of Shepherdstown, that was basically your introduction into the paranormal, so to speak?
It is. Yes, definitely.
What, now through 2 seasons of it, now after like the completion of season 1, as far as being a skeptic, did you believe anything at all at this point, or were you still like, it's another TV show? You know what I mean?
And look, the TV kind of came with Nick. That wasn't
Right.
That wasn't anything that I had anything to do with. Lord knows I don't know anybody in those places to get that done. But I never went on any of their investigations. So when they come back and they tell me this is what we found, this, and this, believe it or not, they're the same things that I'm seeing from everybody else. That, I wasn't there, I didn't see it. So it's kind of hard for me to grasp.
Right,
I guess
right.
not really. I want to believe some of this stuff, but I need that hard evidence.
Right.
EVPs, they had EVPs like crazy, voice boxes, that they were using. And tell me what that is.
What, EVP?
I mean, I know what an EVP is, but I mean, tell me what that is
Right,
on that
exactly, yeah.
on that machine. I mean, how did that get there?
Right. Now, because you go on a lot of investigations with us over the past few years, and after the conclusion of season 2, but what is there anything anything in particular or specific that's changed your whole mind on the paranormal field? I mean, being a skeptic, but because I know some things have happened to you, and you've viewed some things that you can't explain. But what changed your mind on the whole paranormal field?
Probably my son. He is big into it. He went, as you well know, his very first time with you guys.
Right.
And a lot of things happened. And, I believe in him, obviously.
Right, yeah.
And the things that he's telling me, I mean, what he's feeling, obviously we've got EVPs. I'm there when they're captured.
Right.
I mean, I'm there when the machine is blank and you put it out there.
Yeah.
Now, my neighbor fella tells me that NSA is having a great time with us on those EVPs. They're getting their kicks off. But
well, see, one of the tricks I do, I've noticed, I mean, we have all the high dollar voice recorders and all that, and they work great. I mean, we have a variety of different ones we use based on where we're at. However, I ran a couple tests throughout the years, and I find that the voice recorders on the cell phones are very sensitive and work just as good, if not better, than the voice recorders that you buy.
Right.
So basically, what I did was, when I switched phones, my original smartphone has absolutely no internet service, has no phone service, no GPS, nothing like that. And that's what I use, like, for my EVPs. You know what I mean? So I know that there's nothing contaminating or, you know what I mean? And I tell you what, some of the best EVPs I've captured over the years has been on that dead phone, so to speak. You know what I mean?
yeah.
Well, how about the voice we heard on the parabolic dish? That one time you almost jumped out of your skin. I didn't believe you, and I put it on and listened.
Yeah.
He stuck a parabolic dish up a set of steps, and he heard hello, and I'm standing there staring at him, and he's like, "Dave, was that you?" And I'm like, "Was what, me?" And he goes, "I said, say hello," and I'm like, "Give me them." I said, "You just said hello to Ernie. Can you say hello to me?" And clear as day, you hear hello. I'm like, "Whoa!"
Yeah.
I think we were together at Haldeman one time in the summer kitchen, and we had a group there. I was with a group that you were doing a public investigation on, and we kind of snuck upstairs for a couple minutes.
Right.
If you remember, we had some things happen up there that
Yeah.
were raising some concern
Yeah.
while we were there. And I think it was what did you have, the SB11? I think it was, or 7, whatever
one of
those things. And you said, "Can you tell me who's here?" And clear as day, my first name and last name, no break, came out. Remember, because you looked at me and I looked at you. And I still wonder how you did that.
Yeah. Yeah.
How'd you guys do that?
That's not us, brother.
No. Seriously, that was kind of strange. And that one, there's a lot of things that bug me, and that's something I can't explain because I knew where you guys were, and I knew you wouldn't do that to me.
See, and the thing is, like if you remember, you went on an investigation with us, and at the last moment, you contacted me and said you were bringing your wife.
Yes.
Okay, now it was totally out of the blue, and during this investigation, based on where we were at, we thought we were going to get responses to coincide with where we're at.
Right.
Yeah.
But then all of a sudden, the investigation took a turn. Basically, I don't want to say an attack, but
Pointed personal question.
Toward-
Pointed
yeah,
personal
yep.
responses.
towards your wife.
Yes.
And, she kind of like freaked a little bit because it was things that I would never have known.
know,
Yeah,
yeah.
she said some of the things you didn't
Some of the
even
things
know.
I didn't know.
Right, and so we took her out of the location, and I sat down and was talking to her,
And she was clearly.
yeah, she
done up.
gave me the whole
Yeah.
story and
Look,
just
You
everything.
can tell she was like really freaked out about it, though.
But see, and this past year when we filmed World's Largest Ghost Hunt, we were at a farmhouse in Gettysburg, or right on the outskirts of Gettysburg. Now, what we did was we opened the investigate. We were trying to help that little boy that we met at the bash last year,
Right.
Connor, and we were raising money for his medication. He was suffering from cancer, and so what we did was Pam and Steve from the Ghost Exchange, they came up with the idea of, hey, let's open this up to the public, take a donation, and everything goes to aid Connor. Right. So, I have a group, and I'm out in the middle of this field. Now, being in Gettysburg, you think it's going to say, soldiers or Confederate or Union or whatever,
Civil
war. Yeah.
Yep.
Well, we were running one of the devices. I don't remember if it was an EchoVox or SB7, but it started getting personal toward me. And I was asking questions, personal questions, and it was just firing off names and places, and I was like, wow. And someone asked me, like, hey, we're in Gettysburg. Why is this happening? Mm-hmm. We thought this would have to do with the Civil War. But the best explanation I can come up with is, maybe someone on the other side has a message, not just for me, but if this happens to anyone, someone on the other side may have a message for you. And say you're a skeptic. I'm going to
ask you the skeptic question here in a minute.
You're going to miss that question. You're going to miss that sign. So if you go to a location and you're there for that specific reason to make contact with someone on the other side, you're in what I like to call the zone. Right. That's why you're there. You're making yourself vulnerable. So if they have an important message that they want to get across to you, what better time to do it than when you're in the zone? That's why these investigations turn personal.
So let me ask you the skeptic question.
Oh boy, here we go.
Wait, before you do that, I actually have a comment from Andrew Darling. Cops are always going to be skeptical. We are always looking for the logical explanation. Something just can't be explained.
Exactly. It's got to be black or white. You can't straddle the middle there. It either did or it didn't happen.
Right.
One of the two.
Now,
thanks, Andrew.
The best I can answer on that is, with any investigation, when we get there, we get readings of the whole place before we even start, so we know exactly what we're dealing with as far as EMFs and loose doors and creaky windows.
Like the light bulb field we found when we went through that one private.
Now, when you come up with potential evidence, you have to rule everything out. I mean, you have to go through it with a fine-tooth comb. You have to try to recreate it. You might have to take 50 more pictures.
No different than our job.
Right, exactly. And then, think about it like this, Mike. You come up with this, whatever the piece of evidence may be, whether it's audio or visual or personal experience. You ruled everything out, okay? You tried to recreate everything you can possibly recreate, and you're still left with that piece of evidence. What is that piece of evidence? You know what I mean?
So I want to ask you the skeptic question.
Okay, we might have to take a break on this.
The Gettysburg one. Okay? So you were asked personal questions.
Right.
Information that obviously somebody knew to ask you those questions. Or
Right.
not, but the questions you were asking to give the responses that you got.
Right.
Correct?
Right.
Okay, so if it is for that information to have somebody had to know you and know
Exactly.
that information.
Exactly.
Okay?
Exactly.
So why is it that the voices are unrecognizable in most cases? I mean, there's very seldom that you catch an EVP or something where somebody says, I recognize that voice, or they claim to recognize
Right.
that voice. Do you understand what I'm,
yeah.
what I'm getting at?
If you know, say you know, Grandmom Judy is haunting
Right.
your house,
Right.
and you get this EVP or something through one of the devices, and
But
it
it's
doesn't
information
sound like
she would know.
but it doesn't sound like her.
Yes.
My opinion on that could be a variety of things. Like any other evidence, you're going to have to let a strange ear listen to it, because just like, you know, when you take a picture of, just say, a cloud, you know, say, Ernie, what do you see in that cloud? Oh, I see a dog.
Right.
You know, Dave might say, well, no, that looks like a motorcycle to me. You know what I mean? Everybody, it's what we call matrixing. Your mind, when you're faced with something you can't figure out, your mind wants to put it in perspective and come up with a logical explanation. And you can do that even with hearing things. You know what I mean? So, could the voice sound like someone in your family? It could, but then again, it doesn't. Now, I have to blame a lot of that on the equipment that paranormal investigators in general use. You know what I mean? Because, for example, when we're using an SB7 or an SB11, I mean, it's scanning those radio frequencies so quickly. You know what I mean? And what you're looking for is the voice that's going to cover all those skips, okay? And based on the energy that the spirit has, you know what I mean? Like, sometimes, you know, you'll hear somebody say, well, it kind of sounds like Uncle Bill, but I don't know. Well, because it might be coming across slower.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
Or based on...
there could be a time lapse in
Yeah,
there.
exactly. Like, and one of the things I always say, you know how, what's the number one rule, everybody, when you're doing EVPs? You wait, 20, 30 seconds. You know what I mean? That's basically the golden rule, to give that spirit enough time or energy to answer you. You know, and my big question is, since we're in a different time realm, maybe it's taking our question 20 or 30 seconds to get to them.
Brandon Johnson brought up a good point. Look at it, a haunted location as a crime scene, and try to find the answers coming across.
Exactly.
Thank you, Brandon.
What is up, Brandon Johnson? How you doing, buddy? For those of you, that's Brandon Johnson from Twisted Paranormal.
And I need to get some more Facebook stuff from you. So.
So we're going to be calling you as soon as we're done here, Brandon.
We do have a question from Terry Thomas. Being a police officer, do you run into many unexplained things like car accidents that you can't explain?
Well, I usually can come up with how they happened, but people will tell me that they don't know how the accident happened. I looked and there was nobody coming.
Right, yeah.
They pulled out, and all of a sudden we have
Yeah.
a collision. It's easy to figure out how the collision occurred,
Right.
and that's basically what my job is.
I mean,
to
I've had
figure
a
out how
lot of,
that accident occurred.
over the years, you know, I'm getting ready to start my 23rd year, I think, next month. And, you know, I've had a lot of calls that left me scratching my head.
Sure.
You know, but none of them's involved. I don't think none of them's involved car accidents that I can...
Now, accidents are pretty cut and dry,
Yeah,
I think.
yeah.
It's things that happen inside. People go away.
Yeah.
You know, supposedly there's a break-in because everything is turned upside down.
Yeah.
Finding a point of entry sometimes is a problem.
Yeah. But see, I have
But we always blame it then on, what do we do? Well,
Right.
somebody had a key.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah,
somebody
yeah,
get in here and
because
did
you
this.
gotta. And see,
Right.
this is just it. I had a for instance, and it's basically sounds just like the one you told.
Need you to hold that thought for 2 seconds.
All right.
We need to take a quick break. You want to talk something about before we break?
Yeah, real quick. I want to, and everybody join in with me for this that's watching. I want to wish a special happy birthday to a friend of mine. If everybody could wish Angelina Hinkle.
Can you spam it in the channel, please? Just spam the heck out of her.
wish Angelina a very, very happy 15th birthday. I know I'm a little bit late getting it to you, but happy birthday, and we will see you at the Gettysburg Bash next month. If you better show up. I think you're showing up. I got something for you for your birthday, so you have to show up. So happy birthday, Angelina.
Woo!
To check out more programs like Paranormal Inc., hosted by David Seiler and Ernie Atwell, keep an eye out at
She said
WLFE-TV
thank you.
Radio Network.
Ernie, Elaine just said she said thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. You're welcome.
All right, back to your thought. I apologize.
For those of you that know me personally, I was in K9 for a decade, and
Me too.
Now you know why he looks like that.
Easy.
but
Easy. We canine guys intensely stick together.
Yeah.
I had 10 years too.
They're going to be a little rough on me. Rough.
but
He's
one
got
night,
a cat.
one night I was working part time, and they had a burglary in progress, and they called for K9. So when I get to the scene, while I was en route, I told them to evacuate everyone out of the house, and the officers are setting a perimeter. And the objective was, when I get there, my partner and I are going to search the house. So this is like, let's see, I think it was close to like 1 a.m., 2 a.m. So I arrive on scene, and I noticed the family was standing out front talking to some officers, and I went up to, I thought it was the mom, but it was the daughter. And I said, tell me what you heard. Mm-hmm. And she says something along the lines, well, this time, I didn't hear anything. So that made me think of two things. Number one, you're not the mom. You weren't the one that called. Mm-hmm. And, this time?
Yeah.
So there was another time. Well, mom's pretty hysterical, so basically what happened was the house had, upstairs they had hardwood floors. And she heard someone walking across the hardwood floor to her and Dad's bedroom. Mm-hmm. And no one was there. Well, she checked the kids' rooms. All the kids were in the room. So anyhow, Mike, the way we train the dogs are, when we give our canine announcement, and for those that don't know what a canine announcement is, we just identify who we are, that we're going to release the dog, and, if they don't comply, what's going to happen. Now, normally when you cut the dog loose, they're either going to go right or left. They're going to search the area, and then you move to the next area. When I got to the threshold of the front door, my partner could have went right or left, and then there was a set of steps. As soon as I cut him loose, he ran straight up the steps.
Yeah, that's what mine
So
did.
I'm thinking, oh boy, this is,
Yep,
he
got
hit
him.
that
I
hot
got him.
scent. This isn't going to take long,
Yeah.
and I'm going to get off on time.
Yep.
So I hear him back and forth, and nothing. So I go upstairs, and, I do a secondary search with him, and everything was fine. So we come downstairs, and he clears the main living area. I make another announcement. I send him to the basement. So I hear him down there throwing boxes around and having a good old time and searching. Nothing. So I said, all right, I'm going to let him run around and continue searching, and I always go back to my start point and reevaluate everything and see if I missed anything. Mm-hmm. So my partner's down the basement searching, and I'm standing in the dining room, like leaning on the table, just looking around and thinking. Well, directly above my head, I heard like heel to toe, go right above my head. Now I'm thinking, oh man, either I'm crazy, I want to hear this, or somebody's up there.
Yeah.
Well, lo and behold, my dog comes flying out of the basement. He ran by me so hard that when he bumped my leg, he put me into the table, and he ran straight back upstairs again.
Yeah.
So I'm like, yeah, definitely somebody up there. So I call for a unit to come inside, and when we get up there, there is just no one there.
Nothing's changed from the time we were
And
there
just
before.
like what we were saying is, I have to come up with an answer. Mm-hmm. So I go out to the mom, and, she explained this isn't the first time they've heard stuff or whatever. So to give her some sort of, because
Gotta give
I know,
some kind of closure.
I know nothing's going to happen. I know they're not in no danger. but I got to let them know that, you know. So I basically told them that, you know, there's nothing up there, you know, keep in the consideration that you got hardwood floors. I said, and, you know, check the attic, which the attic actually, to enter the attic was in one of the child's rooms in the closet.
So it had a crawl space you had to go up through.
Everything was so nice and neatly stacked and stored, but it was items that the slightest little touch would have fell.
Yeah.
So I knew nothing went up there. So I basically told them, you know, when morning comes and it's light, you know, just check for critters or rodents or, you know, things like that. I never got called back there, but you know what I mean.
You know, it's funny that you say that because it was like after the first or second episode of the first season of Ghosts of Shepherdstown, I got a phone call from a retired, now forgive me if I get this wrong, but I think it was a sheriff's department guy in the state of Washington or Oregon. And he called, believe it or not, he called the department and said he just wanted to thank me because of all the creative writing he's had to do in his career to cover up things. And that's just what you were saying, though.
Yeah.
I mean, you go down and you have to tell these people something. What were they hearing? What were you hearing?
Right.
You know?
Now, Elaine wants to know you're going to do that on Paranormal 911. Were you willing to tell that story?
Negative.
So now I've got to ask, Mike, with everything that's happened in Shepherdstown, I know they've kind of closed out the season. A lot of fans are asking it's coming back. Is it kind of settled down, or is it like still psychotically active, or is it mellowed out? What's going on down there?
I don't think it'll ever settle down because I still get people that come up to me and tell me about everything that's going on in the town. But what we were having before is not happening anymore.
Hey, let me interrupt for 1 second.
Things are died down.
And everybody watching that's been to Shepherdstown can vouch for me. If the pizza parlor ever contacts
Tommy's, we are willing to do an investigation. No charge, just one pie.
If they ever experience any kind of problems or whatever, just tell them leave the oven on and the freezer unlocked, and we'll come down in the middle of the night.
I know just the guys for it.
Because I tell you what, man, and it's a free plug, but
free plug to Tommy's.
That pizza is so good.
Good was like 20 miles down the road that way. I mean,
when Dave and we were going to Mike's house for the season 2 of Shepherdstown premiere party, so we stopped to eat, and
the pie is like that big.
I tell you what, I didn't even know if he put cheese on it because I couldn't see through all the pepperonis.
Yeah.
I mean, it was amazing.
I took a ride just down there just to visit Mike, and I'm like, okay, Mike, now that I'm here with you, we're going to Tommy's.
Yeah, definitely. If you're in Shepherdstown,
all of George's food is good.
Yeah, if you're in Shepherdstown, definitely go there.
Tell me he's got a free plug here anytime.
Anyway, back to
the business.
Yeah, so things have died down.
Okay.
To what, you know what I mean? We're not having the same type of things. I think you're always going to have, from what the investigators who show up there tell me, there are certain areas they know to go to that they're going to be able to interact with.
Right.
Right. Because I've been there a couple times, and you've pointed me to a couple graveyards that are like really cool.
Yes.
There was that one that was for the help that you pointed me at.
Yes.
My equipment just kept going nuts in there. So I mean, I still feel, but you get the everyday, day in and day out. So you know, you have a sense of that evilness presence is gone.
We're not. A lot of things have changed since the end of season 2.
Okay.
The one main location at the end of season 2 is no longer what it used to be. The people that were there are gone. There were some things going on that were found out later. Dana had talked to me about it later, and she felt that was probably some reasoning that happened, and it's probably something I can't go into in depth here.
Right.
But there were some things that happened there. She thought that was the reasoning for everything. Okay. Jeffrey Leeper, I think it sticks in the back of my mind because it was about 6 months after he had been gone. I had to call him. I actually got a call from somebody outside the area, wanted to talk to him about a situation they had. And when I called him, the first thing out of his mouth is, "Things still quiet there?"
Yeah. Hey, Jeff, what's up, Jeff? Jeff Leeper's a heck of a guy. We were when we were at what was it? Spirits Through Time Paracon, hosted by the Ghost Pit. Jeff was there with us. He's a real good guy.
Yeah.
But
like he said, he put it to rest. He can't guarantee how long he'll be there. Yeah. Fortunately, fingers crossed, it's good right now.
Well, I'll tell you what, when the whole project with Shepherdstown kicked off, I mean, between Nick and Elizabeth and Bill, you couldn't have had a better crew.
No.
I mean, they just...
No. Made some good friends out of that, man.
Yeah, I mean, just
fantastic.
They're like everyone, like I said earlier in the show here, I love all the paranormal shows, and everyone has their own flavor, and everyone has their own style of investigating and how they go about it. And I mean, because think about it, with all the mainstream, paranormal now, all the different shows on. Imagine if everyone was exactly the same, or everyone's investigating was exactly the same. There's, it would just be boring.
Yeah.
And when Nick and Elizabeth and Bill come in, just the way they approached it and just took care of it. I mean, it was awesome.
They didn't take care of it as fast as I'd like them to.
Now, my best out of every episode, every
I know exactly what you're. Let me say what it is, and then you elaborate on it.
Okay.
When the plug came out of the wall,
right on the money. The expression of Nick, because you could tell it was not staged. It was not. The camera guy was just talking to him, and you see it behind him just
pull out,
and it kind of turned around like, what was that? And you hear the cameraman going, that network cable just yanked out of the wall, and they reran it. And then he was like, his first instinct was, did you capture that? And you could tell there was like a little hint of, what just happened?
Well, some things, I mean, and it's just the craziest things catch people that don't understand what we do or why we do it or whatever, and they like, hey, let me ask you a question. And their first question is, aren't you scared? You're going into this, abandoned insane asylum. Aren't you scared? And it all depends how you look at it. If you're going in from a scientific standpoint, no, it's not. I mean, don't get me wrong, the spookiness and the whole allure, I love it, man. That's what keeps us coming back.
Oh, yeah.
But from a professional level, you're going in to find answers. Yes. And, sometimes things happen like way back in the day when I was with my original team before we started the Paranormal Inc. solo project. We were investigating a farmhouse. It was here in Maryland, and it had absolutely no electricity, which works for us, you know what I mean? Because we know, yeah, right. So anyhow, we had a reporter with us, and we were in this old abandoned. It wasn't abandoned; it was willed to someone. But we were in this house, and this reporter was with me, and we were in the living room, and she was by the steps, and I was across the living room there, and she told me something. I think she said she's got a cold spot, like on her shoulder. So I took my little digital camera and beep, beep, I took a picture. Well, I noticed a dark mass covering her shoulder right where she said she felt the cold. So I didn't want to alarm her because she was a little jumpy at the time. So I just walked over nice and slow to where she was at to see what I could feel. So I turned around and I was facing the living room. Now I'm holding my digital camera like this. Not looking in the viewfinder, I'm just holding it. So I'm talking to her, and I said, hey, I'm going to snap a picture. So I hit the button, and it goes beep, beep, and it flashed. Well, when the flash lit up, it illuminated the living room. There was a man standing there looking at us.
Oh, wow.
Now, I don't want to say scared, because I knew it was not going to hurt me, but startled.
How'd you know that?
Gotta have faith.
Okay.
But like when you when you come around the corner and something jumps out on you, it's just that startled feeling. And we had the base set up outside in the garage, and my teammates watching could tell just something wasn't right with me, and they radioed in to have me step out. But in doing this, the point I was trying to make, sometimes you just get that one moment where something startles the heck out of you. But the funny thing is, though, and it's ironic, we were joking earlier, and I was because I love taking pictures, man. I like old school investigating, you know what I mean? And I was taking a lot of pictures, and I made the comment, man, what would happen if I took a picture and in the viewfinder I saw a face? You know what I mean? And we were just laughing and joking, and come to find out it actually happened that night.
Pam did that with me when we were at the Haunted Trails. Pam and I were downstairs in Terry's basement, and I'm sitting next to his heater, and we're just talking, and I keep feeling it. She took a picture, and she screamed that there's somebody right behind you, and at the same time, I felt somebody touching me. I almost ran her over trying to move, and you know about me running people over, so a whole nother story.
But now in the law enforcement line of work,
Right.
okay, if I see something like that, if I could see it with the naked eye, because obviously I'm not going to be standing at a call taking pictures like that where I see something.
Right.
Okay, but if you could see something with the naked eye or you hear something, you're probably going to discount it.
Exactly.
Because you're trained to deal with what you can put your hands on, what you can grab,
Sight,
tangible
sound, touch, smell.
Well, let me ask you, Mike. You earlier in the broadcast we were talking about. I mean, I understand you're still a skeptic, okay, but you've stepped over that line a little bit now, where you're starting to see things a little different. You know what I mean? From a skeptic standpoint, you've come across some things that you can't explain.
Very interesting.
Right.
Yes.
Now, but what is there anything in particular that happened to make you say, wow, there might be some validity in this after all?
The
Is
EVPs.
Okay.
I mean, EVPs are just something, because I know there's nothing on there when you set it down. I've been with you.
Right.
When you turn on and play it back.
Yeah, I
there's
mean,
stuff
and
there.
for the skeptics that's watching, we're talking about a simple voice. See, the thing is, I like to use equipment.
Let's explain an EVP first for those who don't know.
EVP, nice and simple in layman's terms, is a voice recorder. Mm-hmm. You ask questions, and you get a response by someone that's not there.
And the thing is, usually you can't hear it on your ear.
Yeah.
So I might go, is there somebody here with me? And you'll hear blank.
Yes.
But then when you play it back, you'll hear, is there somebody here with me? Ernie. What the?
Yes.
So that's an EVP in a nutshell.
And see, that's why, a lot of time, when we're investigating, someone calls to a residence business or what have you, when we're doing EVPs, it'll be no more than 2 or 3 of us there. You know what I mean? That way we can
account for every noise.
Every little thing, yeah. But what I was going to say is I like, everybody has their own investigative style. And, with the way the paranormal's become so mainstream, there's all these gadgets and gadgets, which are great. But me personally, I like using things that have a primary function other than to find a ghost.
Mm-hmm. Right. K2 meters.
You know what I mean? A K2 meter, a thermal imaging, a voice recorder. You know what I mean?
We have a video up on our YouTube channel. You can check it from our Paranormal Inc. site. Dreama, his wife, actually was using my K2 up in an attic, and it was just pegged out. There's no electricity up there. And then we started getting a direct response with yes questions from a REM pod. Really bizarre. 17 minutes. The temperature went from 53 down to 31. You could see your breath.
Yeah.
Really wild video. Take a look at that when you get a minute.
Yeah, that was kind of strange. I admit that one. That was kind of strange.
Yeah.
That one was really funny. For me, that one was really funny. So I got to tell you this story on this one. Everybody was in the group up there. And when I say up there, we're in the attic, and they're sitting away from me. I'm just sitting back on a chair.
This was the same.
At the same location, same night. I'm just sitting on the chair, and I hear, and I really think it was my wife who said, "Oh, I can feel it getting colder in here." And I thought to myself, "Oh God, here we go."
Dreama.
Yeah, I really did. I thought, "Oh God, here we go." Now she's into this, buying into this stuff,
man.
And somebody there had a thermometer, and they shot the temperature before we started. And I know what they said, and then they shot the temperature again, and it was like 14 degrees difference, or a little more than that even.
Yeah.
That hit it
and
suddenly
you would think
gone.
because we were leading a public investigation, with that amount of people in that small area, if anything, the temperature would have rose.
Right,
Yep.
right. So for 15, 20 minutes, this temperature had stayed down, okay? And then all of a sudden, because I actually did feel back where I was sitting, and I felt it get cold. There's no two ways about it. And then all of a sudden, I felt, man, I'm getting warm again.
Well,
and somebody shot the temperature.
If you remember, because this is funny, where Mike was, he couldn't necessarily hear us. He was at the entrance of the attic. Now, the responses we were getting on the equipment, when it stopped.
Yes.
And then a few seconds later, I hear Mike yell, "It's gone!" And we're like, "What?"
Yep.
Yeah, didn't you feel that temperature come back up?
And it went from 31 degrees back to 53 degrees.
Yeah.
And the place we were in had no heat.
Nope.
Right.
There was no heat at all. And we were in the attic, and it was November. Is that right?
Yeah, it was. It was
So
November.
it was not.
November.
It was not.
It wasn't cold, it wasn't hot, it was
Right.
nice.
It was. Yeah. It was
should have been
comfortable.
nice. And logistically, it should have been with what, 20 people in the attic. The temperature should have gone up. And
All right, I got a, because Mike's been asking some questions. I got a question for Mike.
Uh-oh.
Now that Shepherdstown's all wrapped up and all that good stuff,
Yeah.
anything new happening?
What are you doing?
Well,
Where you been?
well, I've been around, but on the Travel Channel, there's a new show, Ghosts of Morgan City. It was filmed in Morgan City, Louisiana. Has a really has a different team in it. It was put together by the people down there in Morgan City. It's kind of ironic. It was. I'll tell the story, and people are going to go, "Oh, bull, that's bull," but it's the truth. I got new next door neighbors, and the guy used to be the chief of police in Morgan City.
Oh, nice.
Some years back,
Right.
and he saw the cruiser out in front of my house, and he said, "I've seen the show," and he recognized the cruiser. So he started talking to me, and he says, "Well, you should go down there," and he starts telling me all the stuff that had happened to him while he had been a police officer down there in Morgan City. And I said, "Really? All this stuff really happened?" He said, "Yeah," and he's a staunch non-believer. Okay? I mean, he would pull up when he was just running a patrol car before he was the chief of police down there. They'd go on a call for a dead body, and they would run two-man cars. He said he'd stop the car at an intersection about a block away, and the passenger would get out and say, "I'm not going any further. I know that place. I know the things that happened in there."
Right.
He said, "I'm not going down there for that dead body." Yeah.
Wow.
Things like this. And he said, well, he'd have to leave him there, and he'd go handle the call, and
Right.
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 But when he's telling me this, and he's truly a skeptic,
Right.
okay? He's the one who says that it's NSA on the EVP. I'll tell you that right now.
Dreamer, you hear that? Your house is bugged.
But he said, here's the guy who's chief.
Right.
Give him a call. He said, I guarantee you he'll tell you what's going on.
You know the best. I watched that episode the other night, the first episode.
I haven't.
You know what I like?
gotta
I won't
confess,
give
I haven't.
nothing away for those that didn't see it. But you know what I enjoyed the most out of that episode?
What's that?
That the chief's name is Bo and the mayor's name is Boo.
Boo. I met them both. Met them both. Fantastic people. I can't say enough good about them. If you're down there, please stop in and see them.
Did they give you a nickname when you were down there?
No, they didn't give me a nickname. But
Sweetums?
yeah, but they're super nice.
Dreamer, can you message in what Mike's nickname is, please?
No, we'll just let that alone. You can't put them on this show anyhow.
But yeah, I watched that the other night, and I like that. Why? I just like that whole, with Shepherdstown and with Morgan City, just that whole spookiness of the town, and see, being, what got me into investigating was researching this before, the whole paranormal went mainstream. I always research spirits and ghosts, and in Catholic school I used to love the stories in religion class, and I've always been into that. And with like Shepherdstown, just diving into the history of it, and it just I like the shows where you're not just running around in the dark with flashlights listening for
Yeah. You're
bumps
going
in
for
the
a
night.
reason.
Exactly,
You're going for
exactly.
a reason to where you're at.
Right. And you have to look at it, too, as a paranormal investigator. We get calls, hey, can you come help me? Mm-hmm. Well, sure, we go help the client, but maybe the spirit needs help.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I'm no expert on it, but you have to look at it as, they're making
Lori-
contact for
Lori
a reason.
helps.
Yeah,
How
yeah.
many spirits
Oh,
did
I
Lori
know,
help
I know.
just on the show alone?
Hi, Lori.
Hi, Lori. We love you, Ben. So, we're going to have
Miss
her
you,
on here.
Lori.
Yeah.
Miss you, Nick. Miss you.
We're going to have to talk Lori Johnson.
Miss you, Elle. Miss you, Bill. Miss you guys. Stop in and see me. I'm sure I can find something for you to do.
So, most definitely.
But going back to the Morgan City. Morgan City is about an hour from New Orleans.
Okay.
And I don't think there's any question about
New Orleans.
voodoo
Yeah.
and all
Yeah.
the things that are associated
Yeah.
with
Yeah.
That
that.
is my first true. I mean, I've been in the paranormal field a while, and I've had some really cool stuff happen, but not on a professional level. My first professional actual capture was in New Orleans, and that's how Ernie and I know each other from karate. And I came after going to New Orleans, said, Ernie, check this picture out, and it blew his mind. And then he brought me into the paranormal, into a professional team. So
And I've been regretting it ever since.
I only have one thing to say.
But yeah, I mean, it's. I'm looking forward to the next episode of
Yeah.
Morgan City. See where they go with it.
No spoiler alerts here. I'm gonna tell you that right now.
What's
you know
that?
why? There's no spoiler alerts here. You know why?
Why?
Because again, I'm in the dark, just like I was in Shepherdstown. I'm left out. Like
I wonder, everybody watching, I wonder how many paranormal experiences Mike has had, and just
just
doesn't know
discount it.
Just
Like,
doesn't know
oh
it,
well, what
like-
the heck, you know.
by accident or by choice,
Yeah.
one way or the other.
Yeah.
But yeah.
you know, Dreama, did you move my keys again? Desmond, did you leave that door open?
You know that does happen, and she blames it on age.
Oh,
My
really?
age,
Really?
not hers.
And it very good. Well, could be something with all the history in Shepherdstown.
Well, we're all in the 50s club, so it's
yeah, the over the hill guys.
You
Yeah.
know, I told a story, and I've told it a lot of times. I understand that about a tombstone that was left at our
Yes,
front door.
you showed me that. I
You
remember
told
that.
me the very first time I met you when I was at the police station. You told me that,
Yep.
and that was something.
I still have it, so if any of you can dial up where it goes, please let me know because
Wow.
I'd still like to get rid of it.
Hey, while we got a minute left or so, I just want to say what's up to Pam and Steve from the Gettysburg Ghost Exchange
Battlefield Bash.
and the Lookout House. Yeah, July 26, 27, and 28 to benefit the Wounded Warriors of Pennsylvania. It is the 3rd annual Gettysburg Battlefield Bash.
We will be
And
there
you-
all 3 days.
You all better be there because we will all be there.
Everybody's
and a
gonna
lot
be
of
there.
other people will be there you'll want to meet.
Make sure your phone is fully charged. You're going to want to take a lot of pictures. There's a lot of A-gamers there.
Yep.
And last year, I mean, we had so much fun. It's only $10 to get in, and it benefits the Wounded Warriors. And if you love the paranormal, this is a must. This is one of the biggest paranormal events that you'll attend.
Most definitely. Well, I want to thank everybody for tuning into our first broadcast of Step Into the Paranormal
done?
On WLFE DB Radio Network. I'm your host, Dave Seiler. This is your co-host, Ernie Atwell, with our special guest, Chief of Police from the show Ghosts of Shepherdstown, Mike King. Ernie, you have anything else?
Yeah, quick. I just want to give a quick couple shout-outs. Want to say what's up to the Twisted Paranormal Society, Real Life Paranormal out of West Virginia, and I want to give a shout out to a new group that formed, Researchers of the Unknown. Hope you all are doing well, and what's up to Keystone State Paranormal Society, and of course to Pam and Steve of the Gettysburg Ghost Exchange.
Love you guys.
We will see you at the Bash in just a few weeks. We're all looking forward to it. Can't wait. It came quick, didn't it?
And thank you, everybody, for all the comments. I'm trying to keep up with them. I'm going to try to start shouting out along the way, but love you guys, and thank you for the positive feedback. We love you. Please share our show along the way, and stay spooky, y'all.
Bye.